You see, this is my life. It always will be. There's nothing else. Just us. And the cameras. And those wonderful people out there in the dark.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Out There in the Dark. My name is Tom Alexander, and with me is Azed Majid.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So that was you this time introducing the episode. How did you feel about it?
Felt great.
I think you're a natural.
Really?
Yeah.
Aw, thank you. So sweet.
You know what I mean? The carpets match the drapes. You're a natural.
And if anyone is still listening, today we're going to do our Oscars episode.
That's right.
The 2024 Oscars,
Yep.
which were last weekend. And yeah, I mean...
Oscars. I mean, we always do an Oscar show. Well, I mean, we've done one.
That counts for all.
Yeah, well, we have to do an Oscar show. But, you know, the thing is, usually I hate the Oscars. You know, just to give you a little background, like I grew up watching the Oscars. Of course, it was big in my family. We would all sit together and watch it. You know, I understand I like all that stuff, but it got so bloated and so bad, and then it got so woke and so bad and whatever. This year's, I'm going to give you my review right now. The best one I've seen in like 30 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
And the reason why I liked it so much was because it was understated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it actually maintained some level of class or something, if you want to call it class or whatever. Like, you know, like it didn't try so hard. It was just very simple, and it was very emotional.
There were some genuinely touching speeches and some moments, and I liked how with the performances they did and they've done that before with the other previous winners
that was
coming
brilliant.
up. Yeah, they've done
Like
that before. It really works.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, like I was, at first I was like, oh, this is like a cheesy. They're just going to stand there and nod. But the fact that they spoke to their friends and their colleagues, that was actually really, really smart and really touching. It really, it changed it rather than just showing a clip, right?
Yep.
Because this way you have artists talking to other artists and praising them, and that is so meaningful, right? To any artist to hear from another artist, right?
And building on that was the part when Kimmel brought out the IATSE crew members who were working backstage.
Yeah. I mean, that was a little more...
But what I thought was great about it was that it felt more like, instead of just, you know, we're all just here to celebrate our individual achievements, it did have a sense of...
Yeah, it's nice. It was nice that they included them, I guess, yeah.
And,
yeah, I mean, I didn't have as much, like, hate speech as I usually do, that I could easily be put in jail for while I'm watching the Oscars. Luckily, I'm just with me and my wife Tina.
Yeah,
yeah.
So no one's reporting.
Well, maybe she is. I don't. If I was her, I would. But you know, what can I say?
Yeah, it was, and you know, the one time they did go over the top was the Gosling performance, which was fantastic.
I loved it.
It was great. It was the best. It was like the best. You're right. It was the best Oscars since like maybe the Billy Crystal days or past. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Billy Crystal ones were
they're still pretty cheesy, but
they're pretty. Yeah, they were always cheesy.
This one avoided the cheese most of the time.
Yeah, no, there was some cheesy. Like, well, actually, my favorite moment, I have to say, was the Al Pacino thing. That was just genius. So he said, "My eyes see Oppenheimer." Like he actually didn't even like. It's like, did we win? Like, what's going on, right?
Yeah, it was a little wow moment there, but it was great. Yeah,
yeah. Don't let old like over the hill actors do an important one. Give them something like best animated short,
just in case.
Yeah.
No, it was really good, and you know, my other complaint, which, you know, can't really help, is that I felt like most of the categories were predicted. Most of them, who won was who you expected, with a few exceptions.
Yeah, I mean, I think it mostly I agree with that. I was kind of pleasantly surprised at like how diverse the awards were. Like, like Poor Things got quite a few.
Yeah, got more than we all thought it would.
Yeah, Zone of Interest got a
Two.
couple, right? Which we need to talk about that moment. That was the big controversial moment, right? Yeah. So but the way they dispersed the awards was actually,
yeah,
they tried to kind of cover all bases. I don't know whether that was I'm not saying that was their mandate. It was just there were so many good movies this year. There really were. Like, I haven't seen a year like this where I've really found like 4 or 5 of them were like masterpieces, right?
Yeah, I mean, the year before, I remember when we recorded this a year ago, we were talking about pieces of garbage like The Whale and I forget what else. And
I still haven't seen The Whale.
That's okay.
It's interesting that like you can sometimes tell that there's a movie just the way people are talking about it and all the information you've gleaned about it. You go like, I don't need to see this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a unique movie thing, right?
It is. You're right. There were so many strong films.
Really great year.
If I had to pick my least favorite of all the major nominations, it would probably be Barbie, which I still thought was pretty good.
I would say. Okay, so I have to qualify my answer, but I'm going to say American Fiction would be mine.
Okay.
I didn't think that was a deserving film, but the performance by Jeffrey Wright was. And I hate when this happens because it's like somehow the movie didn't rise to his level, right? It went into it seemed amateurish at times to me. Some of the filmmaking and some of the writing, clever at other. Like, it was a mix. Like it was really strong and really clever at times and really funny, but then at other times it went sour for me.
There was something about the writing that I loved, which I liked the film more than you did, where it was almost like 2 movies, right? It was his personal life dealing with his mother and his siblings, but then it was also his whole literary professional life that was a complete fabrication.
Right, his book Fuck.
Yeah. And then my sense was that the domestic parts were almost like a TV movie.
That's exactly what I mean.
Which I think was being undermined, and by everything else. Like, he is a fraud, and his dealing with his family was part of. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I felt like they played off of each other in a way that kind of almost was making a point about that kind of domestic bland melodrama.
I admit I did not think of it that way. I'll have to watch it again now to see if that actually holds up. But that's interesting. I think that's a very interesting.
Because
read.
like you, I was watching it, and halfway through, I'm like, okay, this is kind of like boring.
Yeah, it's kind of like standard.
Yeah. But then at some point, I kind of went, okay, now there's something else going on here. I think when he changes the book title to Fuck. Somewhere around that point, I started thinking, wait, there's something
okay, no,
else
that part was great.
Yeah.
Like, and the parts where he was writing, because he, like there's a lot of inside jokes in there. Like, he's called Stagger Lee, right? Whichever, if people don't know, that's it's like a mythological character in Black fiction, right? The Stagger Lee character, right? There's a shift in the movie at that point where you see the characters playing out the drama right in front of him, right? I just wish in a way they had done more of that. It just seemed like that, the sort of the magic realism in it or whatever kind of never flowed. Right. But again, now that you're saying this, I would really like to go back.
But I think the magic realism of that particular scene started becoming front and center of reality, because he then takes on the Stagger Lee character when he's meeting the Hollywood director and everything, and that great scene where he's having lunch with the director, and then the ambulance comes, and he dashes out, and it works because he's worried about his mom, but the director thinks he's running from the law. Yeah. But then at the end of the film, with the whole award he gets, when it's sort of, and by the way, folks, spoilers all through, so
yeah.
Too bad.
You know what?
But,
yeah.
But then but then it keeps going back and forth, where you find out that it's his writing the plot, And I'm thinking, okay, this is turning into a cop-out. And then right before the credits, I'm like, no, but it's commenting on how
that's
we
true.
as an audience
That's true.
need a more satisfying ending.
Yeah, I hear where I as you're saying it, it's clicking in a weird way. So I'm gonna hold judgment now and not say that. No, I have to see it again because you know what? That's true. I think I read it in one way. Now I still think that could be a flaw, but I certainly
It's not a perfect film.
Yeah, no, I think because I think the guy it's his first movie, right?
It's the first film he's directed.
Yeah,
But he's got a long history in television and writing. And
right. So I think but still, like, whatever. If I had to pick one that didn't deserve it,
Sure.
I didn't. Barbie, I thought was just such a weird fucking piece of something. Who knows? Like, it's not really a movie. It's kind of more like an amusement ride. Yeah, and it kind of like at the same time, it's like
with feminism.
With feminism, and yeah, it's kind of like a fun class you took in university. If you were in the humanities or women's studies.
Yeah. And the only Oscar it won was for best song. So
right,
what does that tell you?
Really? Yeah, it was that Billie Eilish song. Which, if I ever hear that song again, I'm seriously gonna slit my throat in front of a mirror.
My best takeaway from the Oscars this year was the fact that Billie Eilish has won more Academy Awards than Martin Scorsese.
That's funny. Yeah. Wow. It says a lot about our world.
Yes, it does.
No, I like Billie Eilish. I think she's super talented, right? And but I have to say, what's going on with that like weird incesty brother thing she's got? Like, it's like, ew, would you stop that? Would you just fuck already? Sorry. We all want to see it. Come on, Tom, don't lie.
Oh my goodness.
You're a dirty, dirty boy. Anyway,
get me out of here. Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we started, I think we took this road down American fiction, but yeah, I mean, I also kind of felt that way about the Holdovers. I didn't love it. I thought it was pretty good. It was doing something weird. I don't know. Did you notice this? Like the titles, the opening titles, they had that, in the 70s, they would have that weird coat of arms trademark looking thing sometimes.
So so I've seen the Holdovers twice.
Okay.
And because I showed it to my girlfriend a while ago, but the first time I saw it was at TIFF.
Imaginary girlfriend.
And,
Lars and the real girl.
Yeah. Yeah, she's up. The
Oh,
dolls.
yeah, hi.
And Alexander Payne, not that he really had to say this because it was apparent, but he said he was just completely copying all the 70s films that he loved. So the Holdovers,
Paper Chase, right?
The Holdovers takes the like early 70s Hal Ashby kind of vibe of, slow credits, that, like you said, the logos and everything else, and even the font, and even you can see some like 35 millimeter dust and
like it's not,
which is a bit much.
It's not
didn't have to go that
well
far.
it's actually
It's
so
like
subtle.
grindhouse.
It's very
it's
because it's done almost perfectly. It's mimetic, right? So you almost don't notice it. Only a super weird nerd like me went like, hey, those are like 70s credits, or whatever, right? But I and then I was like, of course I'm alerted as soon as I see that, like, okay, wow, that's a formal technique he's put there on purpose. He's framing the movie in this way, and immediately I thought of Paper Chase, which I've
never seen. So
which is similar. It's like it also takes place in it's law school. It's whatever, but but it's also a similar kind of. It's that kind of genre of boys' school almost thing, right?
Wonder Boys kind of feel.
Yeah. Starting with that beautiful Jean Vigo, Zero de Conduite. Oh my god!
Can we just do an episode about that film?
We watch so many movies, so once in a while you watch a movie and it just elates you. You feel elated.
Yeah,
that's how I felt with that one. That one is magical, right?
When they're carrying him out to the anyway.
The whole thing, and it's like, and it's only 42 minutes. Yeah,
and it's unforgettable.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it.
Okay,
we can do an episode on Jean Vigo.
Yeah, Lanthimos is unbelievable too.
That one I haven't seen yet.
Oh wow!
I'm gonna watch that.
Oh
one.
my god!
Yeah, I know. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Right. Holdovers. I think I liked it a bit more than you. I thought it was. I think I liked the whole 70s vibe of it. Like I said, sometimes I thought it was laid on just a hair too thick.
Right.
but it still felt like such a genuinely, beautiful relationship between them. And yeah, and the only Oscar it won was for Divine Joy Randolph, who I thought was fantastic. She was terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
was the
So
heart of the film.
yeah. So I mean, okay. So I have a bit of a different take, only
Yeah.
because I feel like I kind of found was like, what can I say? Like it had the most. It was the most see-through in terms of its like. I could see it almost like it was being put together, and I had the most problems with that character that she played, right, the cook,
Right.
because I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but that was to me like the worst kind of virtue signaling kind of performance, right? I mean, not performance. Her performance was good,
Right.
but the
the
character,
character
right?
was written.
The way it was written, exactly, and that kind of like. Almost it's a Mammy style character, right? Like there's this guy Donald Bogle who wrote a book called Books Coons whatever, right? Like it's all about the different black stereotypes that emerge.
Book, yeah.
And the Mammy is a type, right? The large black woman, right? Who's kind of maternal and
But does that kind of fit into the early 70s aesthetic that the film's trying for by using that kind of a trope? But maybe doing something different with it? Because for me, what I liked about the character was that her and her struggle over the loss of her son in Vietnam highlighted how she's living in a completely white male-dominated world, and the only reason her son even got to go to that school was because she worked there.
Yeah, that's true.
And the son was a great student, whereas you have all these rich white kids who are terrible,
Yeah.
and they're assholes. And they get by because of their privilege.
Right.
So for me, her character represented a sharp criticism of the world that Paul Giamatti and these other kids love.
Yeah, I mean,
And Giamatti's character is really so unlikable in so many ways, but you can't help but love him because, hey, he's Paul Giamatti.
well, yeah, because he's kind of pathetic, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like his veneer of brilliance or whatever that he his wit and his sternness and his rules and stuff, they're all kind of like here's what I would say. I don't know that it's so easy to kind of like talk about his character. His character is he's morally very ethical. Like he's very true to him. He's very truthful,
He has a lot of
honest
integrity.
character. Yeah, like he never I don't remember him ever denying anything, right? So even when
He
says,
never pretends to be something else.
Exactly.
He never pretends to be a nice guy.
yeah, he's not like but I'm working here. The only time he does it is when he sees a colleague, right, from the past, and he allows the kid to kind of make up a whole story. And he even then he's like, thanks for helping me out. You know what I mean? Like he's not trying to come across as he's aware of where he's at.
Yep.
And he's still able to kind of be a person capable of hope and joy, right?
Which he's learning from the student and what the student's going through.
And from her, right?
And from her.
Yeah, and from Laverne, right? That's her name, right? In the movie?
I can't remember.
Yeah. I mean, I found Holdovers to be kind of, in my mind, I kept saying, similar things like, yeah, I know where this is kind of going. No, it was,
Sure.
I get what you're saying, and I get the whole point is like that was the whole kind of idea of the movie. It's kind of like soaking us back in the 70s because it's an homage to to those movies, right? But I don't know.
Yeah.
That kind of made it a little
It wasn't one of my
good
top
movie.
five.
I'm not
Yeah,
saying it's not
yeah.
a good movie. It's just it didn't reach the level of some of the others,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of others,
Let's see. What else should we talk about?
well, it was a big surprise that Killers of the Flower Moon didn't get anything.
0. So that was the biggest upset of the
Yeah.
night was Gladstone losing to Emma Stone.
Yeah, no, that was a big. I was because I was betting with some friends, right?
Oh, wow.
Even though we couldn't watch it because I was up north, we would just go online and check and see. But I picked Lily Gladstone
Everybody
to win.
did.
Now, what do you think happened there? Like, why didn't she win? I mean, her performance was amazing. But I'm going to say something to you now. And don't kill me, but this is true.
All right.
I think Emma Stone's performance was better.
And I think I think that's what most people thought.
It was.
I don't think there's anything more conspicuous about it except people just thought she gave the slightly better performance. And
her performance was kind of like like something. It was like a revelation. I've never seen anything like that, quite like that before, right?
Yeah. I would give it. I've favored Gladstone because I thought there's this quiet dignity about her performance.
They're opposite
that was so heartbreaking.
Yeah,
the subtlety of it. Emma Stone wasn't. There were moments of subtlety for sure.
It's not a subtle performance.
There's little moments, but it is pretty broad.
Well, it's not a subtle performance. Stunning. It's a big,
amazing
role. Performance, though. It's like that character stays in your head, right?
You know, all 5 were great. All 5 nominees gave great performances in the films they were in.
I agree. No, no, I can't even remember all.
You're a winner, and you're a winner.
You get a car.
The films themselves were. I mean, Naiad was probably the least of the films.
Yeah, who played
Annette Bening?
Right.
And quite frankly, in that film, I thought Jodie Foster was better. But
okay.
And
I haven't seen it, so I don't
Maestro's got a lot of problems too. But honestly, Carey Mulligan in that film is unbelievable.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah. But yeah, if it had gone to Sandra Hüller or Lily Gladstone,
she was pretty great.
She was
also in Zone of Interest, right?
It was her year, man. But yeah, no, Poor Things is amazing. Like I finally saw it last weekend.
I went to
literally the night before the Oscars.
Yeah, I went to see it and I was like blown away. I thought like what an inventive, amazing film that didn't have. It was like a Wes Anderson movie, super dark though, and without the whimsy.
There's no whimsy.
Yeah, zero whimsy, but still hilarious, right? Like really funny and really sad and a little scary, right?
Kind of scary, like shocking at times.
Yeah, well, it's like a Frankenstein. It's like the Frankenstein story retold in some new way, or the sequel or something.
It's almost closer to the novel in a way because in the novel, like Emma Stone's character, the monster becomes extremely intelligent,
right,
and rails against society for hating him.
Yeah.
Whereas this, of course, is a whole feminist
he wasn't
thing.
like going around fucking, Mark Ruffalo, but yeah.
No, that was no.
It's almost like
Mary Shelley threw out that draft.
Yeah. It's almost as if it had been written, as a female monster, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
This is what would happen. Yeah, no, I loved it. But yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon, I was surprised. I actually thought he would get director. Because he's old. I know he's gotten it before though, right? But
for The Departed.
Oh yeah, Scorsese.
Not one of his best films.
Yeah, so I thought Scorsese was going to get it, and he didn't. That means they didn't get anything. Oh, they got
0.
They got 0. Yeah, that's right.
They for sure got 0. With all the nominations that Apple had, they came away with Butkus.
Wow.
But no, I mean, there's no way Scorsese would. Like it was Christopher Nolan's year. Totally.
So here's the thing, like we can talk about this now if you want. Like, I loved Killers of the Flower Moon. I think it's like I could watch it again right now. I mean, I know it's 3 hours plus, but it's got that. Anyway, forget it. It's just great. It's great. And
we did a whole episode on it.
We did a whole episode on it. And
so check it out, folks.
And I don't feel that way at all about Oppenheimer anymore. The more time, like I've seen Oppenheimer twice.
Oh, okay.
The first time I saw it, I liked it.
I just saw it the one time with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. The second time I saw it, there was a lot of it I didn't like, and I was sort of like, yeah, this is mostly a standard biopic, kind of format. It's not that special, And I have to say, like, I mean, yes, of course, there's great things in it. He's great in it, Cillian Murphy, but apart from the obvious, the building of the town and the bomb and all that was a pretty exciting part, right? That for that 30-minute sequence, and then the part where he's being interrogated in that dumpy back room or whatever, that part I liked mostly, but that third act is a mess. It's like it's also like The stakes are so low. Like, how are you making this a third act? Like, who gives a shit whether Robert Downey Jr. becomes a senator? Like, after the whole world was almost blown up, right? Oh, no, he doesn't get to be a senator. I know that's not the whole point of it.
No,
but, and you know, there's a lot of... I understand it's being paralleled, you know, with that concept of masculine pride and all that stuff. I get that. But it's just... It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. That's how I felt the second time.
I mean, I remember, you know, and, you know, again, for the folks at home, we did a whole episode on Barbenheimer City. So we did Asteroid City plus Barbie and Oppenheimer. And
because we're the smartest show out there,
obviously.
Too smart for you. You know, if you're listening to this and
comments.
you don't understand what we're saying, just don't listen anymore.
We don't want you.
That's right. We'll pick our audience. Okay.
My biggest problems with Oppenheimer were, I thought in the editing and sound it was a little bit too much of the, you know, these intercutting with like the explosion, fire, and sparks and such. Got a little on my nerves. It's a very Nolan thing to do.
Yeah.
And again, another problem that Nolan has repeatedly is his inability to draw interesting female characters.
Yeah.
And
Impossible.
I thought both. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't do
Florence Pugh and Emily Blunt, great actors, but they were given nothing to do except be pathetic and miserable and
given short shrift. Like, you know, it's like if you're going to give this...
They have no world outside of Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, this bothers me about Oppenheimer. Like, they gave their kids away, and you just glossed that over with one scene, and that's it. It's never mentioned again.
Yeah.
It's like, are you nuts? Like, that's the most interesting part. Like, what was happening to this poor woman that, you know, that she was, like, you know, alcoholic and suicidal and, you know, and she gave up her kids? You didn't show that monster who was, you know, living with that woman. You showed the effect without showing the cause. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Because you wanted to maintain the hero image of Oppenheimer.
I still thought it was a remarkable film. I still thought it was...
I don't know about remarkable.
Powerful.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
Right.
It's a good movie. It's definitely got some remarkable sequences, like in terms of flat, you know, filmmaking, right? But...
And what about the Oscars that won, namely actor and supporting actor? Did you feel they were deserved or...
I mean, again, deserved. I mean, those guys are both great as actors. I like them both, right? But here, remind me of the actors again.
Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Coleman Domingo in Rustin, who's very good. Giamatti in Holdovers, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction.
No, it should have been Jeffrey Wright.
Wright.
Yeah,
Right.
100%. It should have been. Like,
yeah, he was incredible. He was. I mean, yeah, he anchored
like
that movie.
I love Cillian Murphy, and he's a strong actor. But really, in Oppenheimer, his face did most of the work. It was just him with those eyes. If he didn't have those eyes, you know, that hypnotize you and make you like feel sexy inside, then you know you would.
Maybe now we're getting to why you were
that's
in trouble
what
with the movie.
That's why exactly. What do you? I kept yelling at the TV. I'm not gay. Stop it. No.
But I think Downey Jr. deserved it. He was pretty amazing in the film. I think, you know, the thing is he also, it's different. Like I get so tired of Downey Jr. with his smart ass Iron Man persona, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I'm smarmy.
Yeah. And to me, I guess maybe because of, he's so much more genuine in Oppenheimer that I was really pretty surprised and immediately felt. And again, the other nominees in that were Sterling K. Brown in American Fiction, who was kind of...
He was okay.
Okay. De Niro in Killers, Gosling in Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things, who I thought was excellent. But
okay, so like, you know, I hate to say this, but I think it should have been De Niro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I know people who have said that too.
You know, like it's easy to go, oh, De Niro's just doing a cartoon or whatever.
He's not at all.
I know, but I can, you know, at first I remember, because it's De Niro, it's hard to lose De Niro in the character, but he does it, right?
Really great scene where DiCaprio is signing away his head rights, standing outside the car,
right?
And De Niro is talking to him. And you can see on DiCaprio's face that he knows he's making a horrible mistake and setting himself up for being murdered by his own uncle.
Yeah.
And you can look at De Niro's face and you can tell De Niro knows that he knows.
That's what I mean. Like,
but you also identify with DiCaprio, and it's like, would you do anything different? Because De Niro is so like.
That's the thing. Like,
convincing.
Like, one of the things about Killers that I think it's such a rich text. You can pull a lot of different interpretations about a lot of different things from it, right? And one thing is, it's sort of like the banality of evil in reverse, right? It's that Robert De Niro's character, you can't hate him.
It's funny that,
even though he's the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
He's like evil.
Yeah.
But there's something about the charm and the kind of
but it's not obvious charm,
It's not obvious charm. It's not psycho charm, right? Like Trump style charm. No, it's like he's weaved himself into the fabric of the community, so he's a part of them in a way, right? And he plays that character perfectly. He feels comfortable there, but he also is superior. But he never comes off as grimy or salacious or anything. It's a really subtle
nuanced,
performance, yeah,
for sure.
And it's fun too, because like he does that one part where he goes, "Your wife is a very difficult woman."
So okay,
so
sure.
That's what I felt about that. And Oppenheimer, okay, whatever. It's Oppenheimer's year. I really hate when they do that though. When they blow a movie up, it's like it's the greatest. It's like the best picture, best director, best actor. It's like they swept the awards. It's like every time that happens, you're like, in a few years, you'll be like, I don't know, this movie's not that good.
I thought it was going to win for best adapted screenplay, but I was wrong. American Fiction won, so which
was
deserved.
Good. Yeah. Now the the other thing is, I think out of all the movies that were nominated, Zone of Interest was the best out of all of them.
My favorite film of the year, and
it's again, it's hard to call it favorite.
Yeah.
But yes,
you never want to see it again.
Yeah, it's a beautifully constructed, well thought out, intelligent, really well done movie, and harrowing, and makes you think. And you definitely, I know you and I have both thought about this movie a lot, right? Now, of course, he didn't win Best Picture, but they won Best International Feature.
And what I love too was that it won for Best Sound.
It did, yes.
Which was surprising, given the other nominees like Oppenheimer were all sort of big, blustery.
Yeah.
And Zone of Interest deservedly won. It's so subtle but so powerful.
The sound is
radical.
Is amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But also, obviously the biggest controversy, I guess, was Jonathan Glazer, when he won, used his speech to make a protest against Israel, and the way he worded it was a little sort of unfortunate. He said, "I renounce. We are three men who stand up here or something to renounce our Jewishness being weaponized," or whatever it was. But the way he said it, people didn't get the being weaponized. They thought it sounded like he was saying, "I renounce my Jewishness," right?
Right.
Which is what he actually wasn't saying that.
And which I think a lot of people hung on to.
Of course they weaponized that, right?
To that point, one of the best quotes, I forget who said it. I might have seen it on Twitter, but some writer said, if you hated Jonathan Glazer's speech and if you were offended by it, then you missed the point of his movie.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's almost like he did it as a test, right? Yeah, I know.
Because, the point of his speech, going past the whole "I refute my Jewishness," was, we are repeating history again.
He said it's not about the past, right?
It's not about the past.
It's about what's
and all you have to do is watch the movie once. You can half watch it.
That's clear.
And it's obvious that this movie is about how today we go through our daily lives and we get inured and used to the violence in our own backyard.
Do you know how many?
And it means nothing.
Like
there's a there's a genocide happening right this second, and what do we do about that? We can't. There's nothing. We are so powerless, right? And it's scary. What's really scary is how quickly we can be. We can naturalize this kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it's frightening because
I can't say for sure that I wouldn't act exactly the same way if the circumstances were different.
Sure.
You know, I'd like to think I'd be like, wow, I'm not doing that. I'm standing up, whatever. But, you know, I can't even like talk back to my boss. You know what I mean? It's like, what can you know, you have too much at stake. You're going to lose a lot, you know. So, yeah, that's the scary thing. And I think
But the people in zone of interest, though, it's not that they're afraid to talk back to their boss. It's that they, you know, this is part of the fabric of who they are. We do our jobs, and we just happen to be committing mass murder to, you know,
well, it's becoming it's becoming clearer and clearer though. Like, and the point the movie makes is exactly this: is that, you know, everybody thinks they're acting in the right, in the good, right? You know, people who are murdering children are saying, well, this is God's plan or whatever the fuck. They think it's a good thing, you know, with the, you know.
Or of course we're defending ourselves.
Yeah. What? Yeah. These babies are going to fucking kill me. You know? So it's like, but that's the scary part of it, right? That's why a movie like Zone of Interest is universal in its approach, in its themes. It's about being human. It has nothing to do with, I mean, not nothing to do with, but it really doesn't have a lot to do with, you know, the historical record, right?
No. You don't need to know anything about Haas or anything.
And a lot of people, I've seen people online talking about it, they don't realize that it's based on Haas and his family, right?
And incredibly accurately.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
The detail.
Well, because it comes from the Martin Amis novel, right?
So, but do you know that Glazer cut out, like, he changed it to make it more true to history? Because if I remember correctly, I haven't read the Martin Amis novel, but he doesn't even use the real names of the people, and Glazer does. And Glazer was, you know, took him years and years and years to make this film, and he designed the set for the house to be identical to their actual home. And the most incredible thing that he did was the little girl who was riding her bike, and you know,
the negative image girl.
Correct,
yeah,
correct.
Right. Yeah.
The real person, when they started prepping the film, was still alive, and she still had her stuff. And so in the film, the dress that the girl wears and the bicycle are the actual dress and bicycle that she rode back then. And
she actually did that. She actually put apples and stuff.
It's very accurate. The whole thing is.
I didn't know that. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
see, now I even like the movie more.
I know,
right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's an absolutely brilliant filmmaker.
He's one of the best.
He's only made a handful of films, and they're all stunning.
All of them.
Oh, I haven't seen Birth.
So Birth got booed at Cannes.
All his films get.
Yeah, but I think Birth is beautiful. Like, it's like, when I saw it and then I heard like people like were making fun of it, I was like, what is wrong with you? You know, like, it's always because in Birth, it's Nicole Kidman, she's lost her husband, right? And she's kind of losing her mind, right? But this kid shows up, right? This like 14-year-old boy, and I can't remember. He just sort of like shows up. I can't remember how, whatever. Right. But she takes him in, but he says he's her husband, come back in spirit form, whatever. It's not that crude. It's kind of done in a much more subtle way. But then she, you know, there is a scene where she's giving him a bath. He's a boy, right? Well, he's more like maybe 8. I shouldn't say 14. You know, and then he says, you know, she says, I'll wait for you, right? And people have lost their minds about that, you know? But it's like, do you not understand? Like, this is in this person's head. Like, this is not really supposed to be
But even
real.
if it wasn't,
yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen the film, so I shouldn't talk about it. But look, I mean, these are the compelling, kind of insane things that...
You know, but it's not, like, that's the thing. Like, the movie is about grief, right? Yeah. It's about a person who can't process grief or can't get over the grief, right? And this is how it's manifesting in this boy coming back and saying, I'm the reborn version of your husband. And the fact that they play it where she feels kind of romantic feelings, but there's no, like, you know, there's nothing sexual about it. But people go there. Immediately they go to something like,
oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah. So that's why
Kind
people...
of sounds a bit like The Innocents, the Deborah Kerr horror film from the 60s, where the boy is seemingly possessed by the groundskeeper and starts manifesting a very disturbing kind of aggressive physicality with Deborah Kerr. And there's a scene at the very, very end where she kisses him full on the lips.
Oh, I haven't seen The Innocents. Okay.
Oh my God.
Or wait a minute, that's not the one that's based on the Henry James.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've seen it a bunch of times, but yeah.
And then Nicole Kidman remade it, right?
It was close. The
Right.
others, it was sort of style was similar, but it's very different plot.
Yeah, I like The Others.
The others was really good.
Yeah, it's really spooky.
The first time I saw The Others was in the theater, just like in October.
Really?
Yeah, because they were playing all these old horror movies at the review,
Oh.
and so I went to see it. I'd
Right.
never seen it. It was great. It was packed. And the
I know the
others-
review is really smart. I went to go see La Strada about a month ago, and it was packed. Same thing.
Yeah, no, they do great.
Anyway, so what else?
Yeah. So just a side note on the zone of interest too. There's another film about war that was really affecting was 20 Days at Mariupol, which
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, which won the best documentary feature Oscar.
Yeah.
And it's I can take a lot. I've seen a lot of crazy shit, and this movie was one of the most harrowing,
Really?
traumatizing.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch that anytime soon.
Oh yeah.
But I will watch it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is really hard to watch.
Yeah, I know.
But
But you're saying it's a great movie.
It is. I mean, the only thing. I mean, it's unavoidable because the film is by a journalist who is just shooting how they lived for 20 days in the first 20 days of the Ukraine-Russia war, where their tanks are closing in, the Russians are closing in, and they're stuck at a hospital, and so they're seeing all these dying people come in, dying children, dying babies, and they're recording everything.
Jesus.
And again, I think today, and obviously the Ukraine-Russia war is still going on, but we've got two wars going on. And I think anyone who, takes a more idealistic standpoint on either of them should look at this and say, this is what happens.
Yeah.
And this cannot keep happening.
No, I mean, well.
Full stop.
Yeah, I know, but it's
pretty incredible.
I know. I God bless them. I mean, or whoever, whoever you believe in, but I'm saying like it's good to know there are people still out there who are kind of like using the medium to try to affect change in a real, more tangible way, right? I mean, other films do it in a more subtle, under the surface kind of way, right?
The film does a good job because besides just the footage being shown, he's also trying to get the footage out. So the problem is because of the attacks, cell phone service is out, internet is out, and he has no way of sending these images until finally a local policeman says, "Oh, I got an image by that burned out grocery store over there."
Right.
Or they got a signal.
Right.
And so he runs over there and he can upload the footage, which then the next day is broadcast.
Cool.
All over the world.
That sounds good.
So and then of course it also shows footage of Russian government saying it's all propaganda, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
This dying pregnant woman at a hospital, and they're saying, "Oh, that's obviously an actor."
Oh God.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, it's so. Warning to all.
Tom, you're bringing us down,
needs
man.
to be seen,
Come on.
but it's going to really.
Let's talk about a comedy.
Comedy.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, okay, well, first of all, have we covered everything?
No. Well, the day before I saw 20 Days, I saw The Boy and the Heron, which won for Best Animated
Oh, I'm dying
film.
to see it.
And that was an upset because most people thought that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse
Which was also quite good, actually.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
Which, I gotta say, sorry, but I still like that film better than Boy and the Heron.
Really?
But The Boy and the Heron is beautifully done, yeah. Not my favorite Miyazaki, but but it's very, very lyrical, unbelievably gorgeous to look at. It's kind of slow in the right way.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful. Like I saw it in the theater the Friday night before the Oscars. It was a late show,
right?
And it was 2/3 full, and everybody broke out in applause at the end. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. He's a true artist. That guy.
Yeah.
Amazing filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So, and then what? else was I kind of like, oh brother?
Well, we haven't talked about. Did you see Past Lives?
Yes, and I quite like that one. Actually, I like that one a lot.
I liked it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
And it's
well,
fun.
then forget it. No.
I don't know why. I liked it. It was good. But I remember like everybody was raving about this film, and I thought it was a good dramatic story, just about two people who seem to have been in and out of love with each other for their whole lives.
I don't think they were ever out. I don't think they're out at the end. Right.
Oh, especially at the end.
Yeah, and so
that was my one thing. The ending was amazing.
Amazing ending. I think the whole movie, it was very restrained. Mm-hmm. It allowed
maybe too restrained for me.
No, but I mean, well, yeah, that's that's sort of difficult to say because the more restrained it is, the more you can read into, right? Sure. And because the characters themselves cannot say fully what it is they want to, you really feel that kind of longing. The movie really creates that sense of longing. Yeah. Like if you've ever you've had somebody cheat on you, or you've broken up with a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, right? Or they've broken up with you. It's that kind of feeling, right? Where you can't. It's the unattainable object, and then the question becomes, why not? Like, well, what's going on? Like, why don't they just come together, right? There's something about their relationship, how it starts in childhood, right? Where there's a kind of a setup there that is impossible to achieve once you leave that context, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I thought it was profound. Like it had profound things to say.
I'll have to watch it again because everybody seems to really love the film.
I mean, I can understand what you mean. I think it sort of. It was formally it was in the territory of like a little bit like the Sofia Coppola movie Lost in Translation. It reminded me of that, just the pacing, and the kind of said thing. A little bit like Wong Kar-wai, not stylistically, but just that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a I've seen, it wasn't the most original thing I've ever seen.
Right.
But it was excellent. I thought it was excellent. Yeah.
Another one that I didn't love as much as everybody else seemed to was Anatomy of a Fall.
I also love that one. Actually, I like that one better.
Yeah. I mean, it won the Palme d'Or, and it was...
That's another one. Like there was a moment in the Oscars that I can't remember who was the one who was... who was the actor who was talking to her when she was nominated?
I don't know.
I can't remember, but the actress, I think it was maybe Jessica Lange or somebody like that, was saying, "I still don't know at the end of this movie." Right? And it's true because I watched it with Ishmael and he was like, "Oh yeah, no, she didn't do it." Right? Like he was completely like, "Yeah," and I know that you feel like, "Yeah, she didn't do it." Right? But you don't feel 100% comfortable with that either. You don't.
It doesn't
because
feel
that pimp thing, like that. When you go back in your mind, that's the genius of the movie, right? And you go to that opening scene, you're like, "What's going on with that song?" Like it's so irritating, it's so aggravating, it's so in your face. There's anger in it, right?
Yeah.
So there is something there, right, where you still don't quite get her. She seems to be a bit of a cipher. Like you don't really get to see the inside of her, and that sort of leaves doubt, right?
Like Ishmael, to me it felt 95% sure she did not do it, and at the end I was still 95% sure that she did not do it.
I think if you feel like that certain,
I was really certain.
Then I think the movie's going to be less powerful for you, right?
And but also and maybe this is because I just don't know French jurisprudence or whatever, but I felt like
I know exactly what you're going to say.
They didn't have enough evidence to even arrest her, let alone find a conviction, because there was no evidence that there was evidence that they couldn't figure out how it was possible, but there was no. It was all like barely even circumstantial.
Yeah, I know.
Which I guess is the device of the film because it's through the uncovering of the other circumstantial evidence that makes you question whether she could have actually.
Yeah, I mean the court scenes I think were played more like theater scenes.
They were,
and I think that was deliberate because they're kind of. It's all kind of like murder mystery-ish type structure, and I think the filmmaker is kind of reimagining.
Well, right from the title, right? Like
yeah,
Anatomy of a Murder.
Exactly. It's like the genre of murder mystery. You know, there's the detective who comes in. There's the trial, right? So there's these not cliche, but stereotypical structures, and I think she's deconstructing that.
Yeah, you know? I agree. That's the thing is like, so that initial premise is what I had a problem with, but everything around it was masterful. Sandra Hüller is an unbelievable actor.
She's great.
She's so great. She's great in everything I've seen her in. I've seen her in a few other films.
Yeah.
Too. Like Tony Erdmann, I mean, is like a must see. I
haven't seen it, but I remember she got accolades. But the thing is, like that
and the writing and
like the writing and like the even the dog and the kid, and the thing is, you keep you can.
The kid was amazing.
The kid was great, and
great character.
Yeah, and it's again because she's a writer, right? A sculptor, right? She's a sculptor. What is she?
I think she's a writer.
She's a writer.
She's interviewed by that woman.
So that's a fascinating way to start it, right? Mm-hmm. That it puts her in a Gone Girl, slightly Gone Girl sort of category, right?
That's a good. I never thought about that comparison.
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're at an hour almost. So.
Yeah. So I mean, the only other film we haven't really talked about, I don't think you've seen, was Maestro.
Yeah,
You're not.
I always laugh when I see even that nose. You know,
the nose is very. I was surprised it didn't. It win Best Makeup because the nose was so.
It is good, but it's just hilarious because it got so much. Made fun of.
Plus, you can't argue Poor Things winning the category. I mean.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Yeah, I mean, my friend Simon, is an actor and is Irish originally. He hated Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things because he said his accent was abominable.
Somebody else I was talking to hated him too in it. I forget who.
Because his accent is terrible, but I thought it was kind of funny, like that, because it's so to be authentic in that kind of a piece is not necessary. It's so circus, right?
Yeah. And he's such a clownish persona.
Exactly.
Right? He's this rakish.
That's
cad,
right. Yeah.
So he's going to put on airs.
Exactly. It's not like you're like, he didn't nail the accent. You know, it's like, who cares?
Didn't nail the production. Does that look like?
Yeah. But he was very funny in
Actually, the only thing I didn't like about Poor Things was completely subjective.
Okay.
Totally subjective. I am so tired of the steampunk aesthetic thing. I don't know. And it's gorgeous. It looks great. It's perfectly realized. It's a stunning looking film. But I just was like, okay, I don't need to see this steamship thing. I don't know. Just me.
I think it
got on my nerves.
I don't think it was overly steampunkish. You know.
Yeah.
It was kind of a mix of all kinds of different things.
It was.
It was very Frankenstein in its set design. And
Willem Dafoe. Oh my God.
Like, wow, I can't believe he didn't get nominated.
Yeah, I know.
That was shocking. I was like, but he was so great.
Amazing, yeah. Such warmth out of such a damaged.
Yeah, and such
messed up
just like a great character, you know.
I am really curious to read the book.
Yeah, Tina just finished it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
what'd she think? Do you know?
She loved it.
Yeah.
She also read Zone of Interest, so she said she liked that one quite a bit too. So,
but yeah, Maestro was good, not great. I think it's a very uneven film for me. So Maestro has some great scenes and some not so great scenes. Right. And Cooper has scenes where he's amazing. Like there's this incredible sequence where he's older. He's mostly better in the older scenes, but where he's conducting in a cathedral, that is just the sequence you can't stop watching, and he is unbelievable.
Right.
And but even better was Carey Mulligan, who was absolutely.
So
amazing in the film.
Really?
But, she's she blows every.
Now, what else was she in? She was known from.
Her last big talked about film was Promising Young Woman.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's a movie that divides people.
Oh, I'll
Promising
say.
Young Woman. Yeah, some
Big
people
time.
like love it.
I've had big arguments with people when that came out. I was like,
Yeah, I
because I really liked it, but
yeah. I mean, I had problems with it,
Sure.
but whatever. It was a well-made movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like I think it falls in. For people, I think it falls far too much into the sort of woke camp, right? And that's probably what turns people off of it. But and it reminded me a lot of Hard Candy, which I don't know if you've ever seen Hard Candy.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, why did we start talking about that?
But yeah, no, Maestro was it's worth watching. It's good. But,
yeah. So
not
that's it.
essential viewing.
Yeah, that's all. And then Barbie, right? Which we
And Barbie,
talked
which
about,
we talked about in our other episode, but and today, but
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
to
think
say about it.
you know what, like the Oscar, I enjoyed. This is the thing that I never thought I would say in my life, and it may be the sign of some impending apocalypse. But I actually enjoyed
dementia.
the Oscars this year.
I kind of did too.
Yeah. They came in under time. For the first
Well,
time.
that's the other
apparently.
thing, right? They were cutting off like the Godzilla people, and they were cutting off other people, and then he's like, "Oh, now we got." Time.
But I even like that. Like that was very cool when that team won, and they were so real. They were they were great.
Kind of made me want to see the Godzilla movie. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, that whole. What was interesting is and I like this too. It's like when the Godzilla team won, people stood up.
Yeah.
And because it's like they're acknowledging that Godzilla is this thing. It's the cinematic legend, right?
Yeah.
Like there are literally 100 Godzilla movies, right?
And this one was apparently really low budget or pretty low budget.
And I've heard it's amazing.
And I've heard it's great. And I've heard the effects they pull off are
okay.
just
Well,
stunning.
let's get together. We'll watch it at my place. You know what? Over the summer, I'm gonna definitely have outdoor screenings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did it. We've done it. I have a whole setup. It's nice.
It's great.
Yeah, so we'll do like a monster movie.
And
night.
everyone at home, you're all invited too.
No, you're not. Just stay the fuck away from my house. No.
Anything else we need to talk about?
I've got a weird rash on my ass.
Okay, well, that's for the other podcast
Yeah.
about
Ass rashes.
bad medical advice.
Ass rash. Say that 3 times. Yeah, nothing. Just shit that people say.
Self-help crap.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you know what I do to feel confident? I just jack off. That's why I jack off 100 times a day.
has the opposite effect on me.
We are going to embark on a bit of an ambitious series within our podcast on basically how to watch a movie today.
Yeah.
Right. And before people get turned off about how condescending that could come across, we certainly don't mean it that way. You stupid idiots. No. What we really want to say is, we think movies have changed over our lifetime, and definitely before that, the relationship between how you watch a movie, how we take in movies, whether that has made a difference for the better or for the worse. Nonetheless, we think some things have been lost, and we want to kind of do a fun overview, kind of a fun but also intense, and it's going to hurt.
But it's good for you.
It's good for you, exactly. It's not the junk food, it's the vegetables, right? We're going I don't know who I became there, but I like that character anyway. But we're going to do this as a kind of a history, not so much of cinema, but of the theories of how to of what the relationship of audience to cinema has been, right?
I mean, consumer behavior, if you will, has changed so much in the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
The way we consume a movie, the way we watch a movie,
yes,
it's almost as if it's a distraction from our daily lives, or it's some kind of product to be ingested. And, that's just sort of we think there's a better way to go about how we approach cinema, even if it is at its junkiest.
Yeah,
You know,
it
you
is.
may think, well, I'm going to watch Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I really don't need to think about this. Well, you know what? Maybe
It's interesting to think about it because you always got to keep your eye on the machine, as people used to say
That's
back
right.
in the
There's
'60s, I think. But it's like the ideology, the politics, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, the zeitgeist, if you will.
and the psychology
That's
of
all
what,
in Aquaman, right? It's all in these big giant blockbusters. So there's a way to deconstruct, decode. It's for us. It's about the love of cinema. We want people. It's a series to kind of get people to fall in love with movies again. There you go. That's my tagline.
Make movies great again.
Exactly.
And with that, folks, we'll see you out there in the dark.